Space diplomacy. The United Arab Emirates has launched the first ever Arab interplanetary mission to Mars. Luxembourg has its own space program. A few hundred satellites, owned by the private company SpaceX, are in Earth orbit providing the internet in a few dozen countries around the world. More than 10 space tourists have been to space transported by the private company Virgin Galactic. As of today, more than 70 countries in the world have some kind of space program. And a dozen companies are having or planning to have some kind of business in space. The value of the space industry is estimated at $350 billion. But before we begin, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for such amazing and informative videos. The question is, are we in a new race in space in which companies are also participating, or even winning? Are there any rules and laws? Who monitors the enforcement of these rules? Are we historically in the phase of conquering orbit and nearby celestial bodies as the New World and the Wild West used to be? What about the governance of orbit and space? Stakeholders and actors. There are 4 categories of actors in the field of space technology and research: governments, international space agencies, private companies, international organizations. World governments are stakeholders even if they are not involved in any space program. The global impact of future space research and exploration will be great. In a positive way, this process will improve global knowledge and value, and in a negative way, it could ruin the local environment of different celestial bodies, increase space debris in orbit, or even start a war. Governments that have their own space programs or a part of some of them will have the opportunity to run the development of space exploration and to improve their own knowledge and technologies. International space agencies are motivated to be faster in their own battle for space discoveries, and to gain as much new funding as possible for their projects. Space run is a matter of prestige, but much more a matter of new opportunities, new territories outside the Earth, new materials and minerals to be found, as well as knowledge. The private sector in space activities. The number of private companies in the field of space technology is estimated at around tens of thousands. Some of them are engaged in satellite launch or manufacturing, some in propulsion and engine technologies, and some in future space services. Today, after almost 15 years since the launch of the first private-owned rocket, we have companies capable of launching into orbit and bringing back reusable spaceships, or sending commercial ships with passengers to space. Some of them make launchers, small and nano satellites. The number of private satellites in lower orbit is a few hundred, and they are visible even in the sky every night. What could be future space projects? The most common commercial use of space technologies will be tourism programs, which will lead to the development of better and more economical spacecrafts. These space projects will go in 2 directions: research and colonization. The Moon, Mars, asteroids, giant planets will be the missions of these space programs. Some new space telescopes, such as the James Webb Space Telescope, will explore deep space or our galaxy. The technology of transforming ice or some minerals from the Moon or Mars will be used to produce rocket fuel or to create Earth-like conditions for human crews in potential base camps. International Outer Space Law. In 2022, we celebrate 55 years of the first international law on space, the Outer Space Treaty. However, only 111 countries have signed this document by which humanity has decided that the celestial bodies must be used only in the common interest and for peaceful reasons. However, there are no rules for using the rest of space between celestial bodies. The treaty specifically prohibits the deployment of weapons of mass destruction and nuclear weapons anywhere in space. What about conventional weapons or some new high-tech weapons? 4 other treaties have been adopted to reinforce the framework set by the Outer Space Treaty. The Rescue Agreement of 1968, requiring states to assist astronauts in emergencies. The Liability Convention of 1972, liability for damage caused by space objects. The Registration Convention of 1975, all objects launched into outer space must be registered with the United Nations, and the Moon Treaty of 1979. 5 sets of principles have been established to support international law in this field. The Declaration of Legal Principles governing the activities of states. In the Exploration and Use of Outer Space, 1963, the Principles relating to International Direct Television Broadcasting, 1982. The Principles relating to Remote Sensing of the Earth, 1986. The Principles relevant to the use of nuclear power sources in outer space, 1992. and the Declaration on International Cooperation in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space, 1996. The only international organization dealing with space is the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, UNOOSA. Today it works to help all countries, especially developing countries, access and leverage the benefits of space to accelerate sustainable development. We work toward this goal through a variety of activities that cover all aspects related to space, from space law to space applications. The end of 2021 brought some new international activities in the field of space regulations. The UN General Assembly First Committee, Disarmament and International Security, decided to start working on preventing an arms race in outer space in November 2021. European Legal Framework. European Space Agency. The European Space Agency, ESA, Convention was adopted in 1975 under resolution by the European Space Conference. Negotiations began in 1972 when the European Space Conference decided to create the European Space Agency with the aim of merging the already existing conventions. The European Organization for the Development and Construction of Space Vehicle Launchers, ELDO, and the European Space Research Organization, ESRO. The aim of the treaty is to elaborate and implement European space policies, coordinate the European Union Space Programme, ESP, and recommend coherent industrial policies to the member states of the convention. Essentially, the ESA Convention aims to coordinate and strengthen the exchange of scientific and technical information related to the field of space research of its member states. Its main organs are the Council and the Director General. The Council is composed of representatives of the member states, who coordinate the activities and programs of the member states. The Director General is appointed by the Council for a fixed period and is responsible for the execution of ESA programs, the implementation of policies, and the fulfillment of ESA purposes. For much of our lives, at least in the public arena, outer space was the domain of intrepid explorers. It was the final frontier, and our overarching objective was to reach out there, to figure out what lies beyond. As our understanding of space and our technology and ability to navigate space developed, however, we began to look down. We started to ask ourselves how we can use this new frontier not only to learn about our planet, but to improve our livelihoods. This shift in thinking has augured profound and positive changes for the world. The GPS in your car, the weather report on your phone, the solar panels on your roof, and the scratch-resistant polymer on your glasses all have their origins in space exploration. What this means broadly is that space is no longer the domain of a few astronauts or a handful of science and math specialists. Space is for everyone. As a leader in space exploration, the United States is committed to exploring outer space for the benefit of all of humankind. In September, Vice President Harris chaired the second National Space Council meeting of the Biden-Harris administration. In this meeting, she affirmed that space is a priority for our country because of the very fact that space is humanity's final frontier. It is an environment that is free for exploration and use by us all, and that can benefit all of us if we approach space exploration peacefully and sustainably. Did you learn something new about the space that you didn't know before? We hope you did. So, if you're interested in learning more amazing news about space, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to get notified by our new videos. Please like and share the video. Don't forget comment down your views on this. Thanks for watching till the end.